to say suck in.
Yeah.
And swallow.
Well, swallow.
He's just a hungry little guy.
But then it's this stupid little pink Kirby who's beating it up. Welcome to Save States and Fetch Quests, where we journey back to the games that defined our childhoods. Each week, we dive into a beloved retro title, sharing our memories, exploring what made these games so special, and uncovering the secrets behind their lasting appeal. Whether you're here for nostalgia or just discovering these classics for the first time, we've got something for you. Hello, audience, we will say. My name's Toadie. With me are Redmage.
Hello.
And Hampy.
Hello.
And we are your three hosts and three guests today. We all have what we feel is an equal enough stake in this franchise that we love. And the franchise in question is Kirby. We love Kirby. And I'm going to say we love Kirby.
What a good intro. Yes, we love Kirby.
Yeah.
When did you guys first play Kirby?
I'll go and start. I played Kirby when it came out in 1992 or 3-ish, depending on. I'm not 100% sure when it came out in Europe versus the US, and the numbers are always just the North American centric ones most of the time. But So when the game came out, it was one of these, hey, there's another platforming game, and Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy was another platforming game to play. And since the Game Boy, I mentioned that in the last episodes, that was the console that I had at the time, I got that game, and that was my start with the game. Hampy, what about you?
I think I played Kirby's Adventure first, and I played it on. My elementary school had a PC in their basement. It was like a dark basement. You had to go a little bit in corridors and everything. And then there was a room, and on it they had a lot of NES games and Game Boy games and Super Nintendo games. Totally legit, I can imagine.
Absolutely.
And
we all
that
know
is when
about
I
the
played.
PC releases.
Yeah, and that is when I played Kirby's Adventure. And I remember I fell in love with that because it was just so much fun to be able to do different power-ups and everything. So that is the first one. And then I have basically missed out on a lot of Kirby games because usually Kirby games are released pretty late for all the consoles. When Adventure came out, Super Nintendo was out. When Superstar came out, N64 came out, and so on. So usually I missed out on a lot of Kirby games, but then I got to catch up with that later in life.
I'm similar to both of you in that my, I guess Adventure wasn't a Game Boy game, was it? So I'm similar to Redmage, we'll say. My first Kirby game was a Game Boy game because I was also a Game Boy girly. But for me, it was the 1995 Kirby's Dream Land 2. I don't think I would have had it in 95 because I would have been 5 years old. It must have been a couple of years later. I think we got our Game Boys for Pokemon, so it would have been more closer to the release of Pokemon. But anyways, Kirby's Dream Land 2, so good. So many memories. And I think that it's very fitting that we each have one of the earlier Kirby games for our first games. So I think I'm going to say, Redmage, why don't you yap at us about Kirby's Dream Land?
Sure.
Numero 1.
Can do. Kirby's Dream Land in all its glory, green on green.
Yes.
So one of the first things that always comes to mind from you when thinking about it from a today perspective is how little of a platformer it actually is when you think about it, right? Because you get infinite flight, which means that the platforming aspect of it is basically non-existent. You can fly through the whole level. right? But still, that when playing that didn't matter for us at the time. It was interesting to see what are the different enemies that you had around there. You were trying to figure out what does help you. What can you soak up? What can you eat up? Like Kirby is doing, right? And
He's trying not to say "suck in."
yeah.
And swallow.
Well, swallow, yes, perfect. No, but no, I was actually struggling for a word there. No, but it's it's a fun little game, and it is very simple in its way that it's played. You don't have on any of the power ups at this stage, right? This was
Yeah.
before power
No
ups,
power-ups.
right?
Yeah.
Nothing at all. You would just Kirby. You were flying through. You were sucking up enemies and throwing them out again, or just digesting them down. Uh,
As one
and
does.
yeah, you were just going through this dreamland, 5 stages, from from enemy to enemy, from boss to boss, until you faced up with King Dedede, who then all of a sudden had more hit points than all the other bosses before. But in itself, it was a very good start to what became the franchise, basically. And I would say this is also being shown by the fact that HAL Laboratories, the developers, they were struggling at the time, right? And that was their game to get out of there again. So Kirby's Dream Land saved that studio basically in order to go on and provide us with all the other Kirby games that we had after that. So
Mhm.
yeah, a very simple side-scrolling game. It's more an action game than a true platformer because the platforming aspect is relatively simple in what it does. And you have a cute protagonist, and the whole game is cute, right? It's not like your gritty shooters that you had at the time, because you can compare it to a shooter in a way because you shoot stuff, whether it is the air puffs or you spit out the enemies again. You have certain power-ups that you can work with. So yeah, in a way, I think the action side scrolling is a little bit more akin to what it is. But all in all, it's a cutesy game and a fun game to
And
play.
from what I understand, because I think I must have gone back and bought the first game. I think I ended up owning it as well, but more of my memories are with Dreamland 2. But it's easy as well, which I think
Yes.
is maybe something that might come up again at some point in time today with these Kirby games. But I value that because I think for the kids that were super young that owned Game Boys, they needed something they could handle when they
Mm.
were just endlessly falling down pits in Mario Land. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that was like a good choice. If it was a decision, I don't know, but I think it was a
Oh,
good one.
it 100% must have been, because if you look at how game overs bring you just to the beginning of the level instead of starting you over in the whole game, that shows you again
That's
another
true.
one of these easy things.
Right.
And I mean, you can start out immediately with hard mode, right? And
Mm.
if you know the button combination in order to get into the harder way to play the game,
Yeah. I
you
didn't.
have all of that in the game, right?
Yeah.
So they were thinking of making it a pain to play in a way, but they kept the initial premise easy. And I think, and I don't want to talk too much about the following games here, but I think one of the main premises that we can immediately identify here is it's easy to finish, it's hard to complete,
Yes, that will
Yeah.
come up too for sure.
right?
Yeah.
It's
And it introduced us to reoccurring beloved characters like the Wispy Woods battle, of course, and you mentioned DDD.
iconic.
So iconic. The Wispy Woods. When I hear those words, I'm sidetracking. But man, that 64 Wispy Woods battle is just so good. It's so deeply, firmly ingrained in my brain. Yeah.
Kirby's Dream Land for me, I played Adventure first, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And then I got to know that there was a Game Boy game, And then I played it, and then I got surprised that you don't have any abilities because his copy ability wasn't a thing yet.
Mhm.
And then I was so surprised that it was super short because
Yeah.
Kirby's Adventure is like 3 hours, maybe 4, if you're just going through the game. Kirby's Dream Land is about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised by that. Like, how could you imagine, if you had a rule with your parents that, okay, you only get a new game if you complete one that you already have, and then you get a brand new game and it'd be like 20 minutes later, show the end credits to your parents.
Yeah.
And I think this is a pretty good start. Like, if you look into speedrunning, I think Kirby's Dream Land could be a good start, actually, because it's nice to have those shorter games that you can just play easily over and over again real quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
a good
fair.
shout. You should tell us more about the next game in the line as a wonderful segue.
Yes, because you're already mentioning the next game.
Kirby's Adventure. So Kirby's Adventure is for NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. And that one came out, I think, in 93. I think it was around the time the Super Nintendo had already been out. I remember it very well. That game is the debut of Kirby's copying ability, and it's not like only 2 or 3 things that you can choose from here. Here it's double digits. That says, I can't name them all on top of my head, but it is fire, it's electricity, it is wheel power up, and it's you can suplex your enemies as well, and sound, you can scream into a microphone. So many fun copying abilities. It's not just like, fire breathing and everything like that. No, it's you can do so much fun stuff, and I think that is a big part of what made Kirby into such a fun character as well, giving Kirby so much characteristics. And it was the first game in color as well, since it was on home console. And then we really got to know that, Kirby is pink, not white.
Yes.
Even though they might have not really decided on that yet, because, the Game Boy was very limited in colors. So still in the manual for the Game Boy game, Kirby was white. But then suddenly...
And also
pink.
in the initial advertisement for the game, if you go back and watch some of the TV ads that were airing at the time, especially the American ones, of course, but there's one in particular where they compare a super beefy, buffed up guy that you would have seen on a cover of something like Contra or something, compare that to Kirby. And Kirby was white in that ad as well. So,
well, he's white on the
There you
box
go.
art for the OG Game Boy game.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. And this game was like, when you could take it to home consoles, you could really stretch out the adventure. So here you had, instead of like 20 to 30 minutes casual gameplay, you got hours. And I think it reaches up to 6 worlds. 7. All right. Yeah. And then you got like extremely cool bosses in this game. Final boss battle is also really, really cool and iconic. And that was my first Kirby game, and I freaking loved it. What do you guys think of Kirby's Adventure?
Adventure looks like it has the doors, which I love. At the end of the adventure levels and the original Dreamland, I don't remember very well, but do either of them have the thing where Kirby is falling down and you have to press A at the right
the
time?
trampoline, yeah.
Yeets
That
up.
was,
I think
with Adventure you got the far jump to the side, right? Or was that I also mixed them up, but yes, it wasn't in
I
wasn't
think
in
it
the
was,
original Dreamland.
I think it was upwards, the vertical.
Was it? That's something I really for some reason it sticks with me about these old Kirby games. I loved that little just tiny kind of finessing moment at the end of a Kirby level. I loved that. It was great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, the Kirby's Adventure introduced us to a lot of these kind of in between sort of mini games, not fully mini games as we would have them later, but one that always comes to mind for me is the claw machine thing. So yeah, it was more a we're experimenting, we're introducing a lot to it in order to see what we can do with it now that we have the constraints of the Game Boy left behind for the title and give us more. But again, it was interesting to see that they released this as a late stage NES title rather than an early stage Super Nintendo title, right? But yeah, Adventure was a lot of fun to play. I don't have that many childhood memories to it because I didn't have anyone that had the game at the time, and we didn't have an NES either. But when I then went back into playing that after I think playing 64 for the first time, it was like, oh yeah, so a lot of that stuff actually started back then, right? Because for me it was always the copyability came with Dreamland 2, right?
Yeah. Same.
At least back then. But then, oh no, this was already there. This was already there before, which, yeah, it's definitely a fun game to play.
What a time to be alive and playing games, where like you and I just kind of assumed that the copyability came with Dreamland 2 because we weren't connected to every other human being within arm's reach, and we couldn't just Google, hey, does this thing exist anywhere? And yeah, I like moments like those.
Yeah.
Kirby's Adventure, because I have been playing. I went out on a little journey when I was in my late teens and was like, I'm gonna play. And it sounds pretty big, but I was like, I want to play every single video game ever. So I started with the NES and I played a shit ton of NES games. And gotta say that Kirby's Adventure is one of the best for the system. So if there's an NES game that you should check out and you love Kirby, Kirby's Adventure is it.
Does Kirby's Adventure have a alternative ending or like a different ending based on your completion rate, or is that introduced in Dreamland 2?
I think it's introduced in Dreamland 2, yeah.
Okay. Because
I played the whole thing 2019 or something, and I remember that was this really iconic fight with the final boss. I think it was called Nightmare. Yeah. And I think that is the final.
Very cool.
Yeah, but
could double check that. But we can move on.
Trying to read through the wiki while I at you.
But one of the things that I want to come back to is the copy abilities, because again, this was such a defining moment for what we're going to talk about with all the other games from here on out, right? But they started, if I remember, with 44, 43, somewhere over 40 abilities that they designed, and then they basically just whittled it down to the ones that that were left then in the game. I think 20 something in total. Don't quote me on the number there. I'm sure that someone will fact check this now, but it's great to see that they had a lot of ideas for the game, right? That they brought so much to it after what was, as we said, a very simple introduction to the franchise, right? With Dreamland being a 1-hour game for a first-time player.
Yeah,
gotta mention the music real quick also, that Kirby music, this is where the seeds were kind of starting to begin, also with Dreamland 1 actually, but some of the themes that we hear in these two games are still around today in modern Kirby games.
I mean, yeah, the initial theme when you start the game, when you start Dreamland for the first time, when you go into the first level, that basically just lives rent free in my head since I played the game for the first time. So yeah.
I think the audio piece that lives rent free in my head again seems to be connected to the end of a level, but I remember it first from Dreamland 2, where I really want to like do the sound piece with my voice, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to subject you to do that to that. But you beat the level, and then you see like the 3 or the 5 little Kirbys, and then they do their dance to that kind of little tone or trinket or whatever. That's there for me as well.
Yeah.
I love that very, very much.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm going to say just about the copy ability. I think I love how it's the concept itself of it just being a thing where Kirby inhales a person, yomps on them, and then gets an ability. That one kind of simple concept is just, it opens itself to be so broad, to have so many different iterations, because any single thing that you can think of to shove into Kirby is a new power up. And then as we then see into Dreamland 2, you can externally combine that power up as well. And it just, the crazy range of things you could make happen with that is incredible. And just like a lightning in a bottle, I think, kind of invention or whatever. I love Kirby's Dreamland 2, which is me seeking permission from my fellow friends to segue into it.
I would want to side skirt this a tiny bit, though. However, let's talk about
Yes.
the in between 2 and 3 game first,
You're right.
just to give 2 and 3 because they're so close connected, to give them their own segment. Let's talk about Superstar first.
Super
Yeah,
Nintendo game.
What
Super
is this
Nintendo,
game?
yes.
We're like, no Toadie, not yet.
No, just peel it back a tiny bit. And
Yeah. Please educate me on what Superstar is, because I don't think I knew that this existed until reading for this.
All right, so Kirby Superstar, Hampy, remind me, what was the European name for that again?
Kirby's Fun Pack, I remember I had. So I didn't know that those two were the same games until it took me a long time to realize that.
Yeah.
But it's essentially, it's 5 games in one, right? I think.
Oh, it's 8 games in one.
Oh, okay.
It's 8 games in one. So Kirby Superstar is a anthology thing, if you want to call it that, because there's basically 7 sections in there plus 2 mini games. I don't know why they call it 8, because you have 6 primary ones, 1 supplemental game, and then in addition 2 mini games, but they advertise it as 8 games in one. At least that's what the box on the outside says. So starting off with the first one, very easy. Spring Breeze is basically Dreamland.
Yeah.
Just
Cool.
in color on a Super Nintendo.
Could basically call it a remaster before.
It's in a way, but they have the levels shortened and combined. They removed some of the boss fights. It is Dreamland in a nutshell, but it is something that if you want to play Dreamland, go play Dreamland. I would want to say, but it's fun to see, especially if you have played Dreamland, and if you then go into Superstar, just to look at it, it just looks nice, right? It's just fun to do, and then we go into Dynablade. Dynablade is basically where Kirby has to stop the titular bird, Dynablade, from disturbing the crops and So you go in there, it's 4 levels that you have to clear before facing off against the boss. And then it also has some secrets in it. But in the end, it's basically just a wholesome ending to this, because I think, spoiler alert for people that don't want to know it, tune out for the next 10 seconds because I want to mention it. In the end, you find out that Kirby that Dynablade just wants to feed their children, and that's that's what Dynablade is. And you see them flying into the sunset. So yeah, and then I think the one that people remember most, and that has also, in my opinion, the most iconic tune out of them, is Gourmet Race, a racing game where you have to race, or where Kirby has to race DDD in eating as much food as possible. I mean,
sign me up.
Who doesn't want to do that, right? You earn points from eating food. You can get some bonus points if you finish the race first, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. So it's not you need to be first. It's whoever gains the most points by eating the most food plus finishing. So yeah, Great Offensive, the Great Cave Offensive. This is a very divisive one, in my opinion, which is basically the first Kirby Metroidvania crossover, if you want to put it like that. It is
cool.
It is basically the story revolves around Meta Knight, and this is again one of the fun points about the Kirby franchise. We have people coming back so often, right? We have the bosses that you see in the different games. They come back, right? They're not just one-hit wonders. They're there for us to stay and enjoy and get more of the lore throughout the series of the games. So yeah, in this one, sorry. No, I'm mixing up things again. I wanted to talk about Revenge of Meta Knight and not about the other one. Sorry.
So Revenge of Meta Knight is the one where Meta Knight
Revenge of Meta Knight is where you have to stop Meta Knight in order to take over Dreamland. This one is interesting because it is a time-limited game, right? More arcade style, like you would have it in the past, where you have just a set timer to finish something. And so you fight bosses, and it accumulates in that chase with Meta Knight at the end.
And Great Cave Offensive
Great Cave Offensive
that has references to other franchises.
Exactly. Great
Gathering treasures.
Yeah.
Yes, gathering treasures. You have it's a Metroidvania style thing, right? You have a cave that you fall in. You have hidden treasure chests that are across there, and some of them are from some of the other franchises. Like you would be able to find the Triforce in there. You can find Captain Falcon's helmet. And some other things referenced in there, like valuable items from RPGs, right? Like Orichalcum, that you would not have in the lore of the games as well.
So it's almost a little glimpse into the Smash franchise.
Yes,
maybe the seeds are being planted there.
Thank you for segueing me into what I wanted to say. This is actually a stage that you can play in some of the Smash games, and it is usually seen as I've been trolled by my fellow Smash players stage, because it is just so way too big for people to properly play. But it's fun to see that they made the effort to put that in there. And then we have two more. We have the Milky Way wishes, which is the biggest one in there. And in this one, you have Sun and Moon fighting each other around the planet Popstar, that we have not named yet, I think. No, we haven't.
No.
So everything basically happens on the planet Popstar. Who know? Who
Yeah.
knew?
Cool
Right?
place to be.
Kirby's
Yeah.
home planet.
Exactly. And so they're fighting, and a creature named Marks, it's this jester-like thing, tells Kirby that, hey, you have to travel to all the planets, which there are 9. You can
Oh
see
my
where
God.
this is coming from back in the day, right? And then you just have to get through all of that, and you have to basically just find a way to get them stop fighting. And this has a twist on the copy ability, because you do not have the copy ability in this one, but you have something similar where you collect the copy essences, right? And once you have that, and you can then select one of the abilities and keep them permanently to basically use them later on, which is a kind of nice twist on the same, hey, I have to find an enemy and just suck it up and do with something with it. And then the last one, the arena, it's basically just boss attack. You go through all the bosses, you fight them, you get, I think, 5 of the tomatoes in between in total in order to fight all the bosses, and it's your boss gauntlet, right? The thing that we all love to see in games.
I don't know if you're saying that sarcastically. I love a good boss rush.
It depends. It depends
it-
on how it's delivered.
Yeah. It depends
Yeah.
on where they place it, I feel.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the one thing that just springs to mind for me, and we have to switch franchises for that for a second. Final Fantasy 15 introduced the Royal Edition after the original with the original release version. They said, "Oh, this has a very lackluster ending. You just walk through an empty, burnt down city, and you get to the boss fight, and that's it." And then they said, "You know what? You're right. What we now do is we take a boss gauntlet that takes you about 2 hours to beat and put it in front of the boss fight."
Yeah.
That'll
Thank
solve
you.
the problem.
It's
It's funny
you
with those
mentioned-
like boss gauntlets, because though we usually have like a bad memory that we immediately turn to. It's like, boss gauntlets, I don't know about that. Because I feel like I have one too, and for me it's Wind Waker. Zelda Wind Waker.
Mhm.
They have all the 4 bosses in the game at the end, but in black and white. Okay, rob us of all the colors and everything. All right,
Artistic.
and then it's just slow. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about when it's boss rush,
Yeah.
But there
I
are good
mean,
ones.
Yeah, the Elite Four. The Elite Four are great ones. Classic,
That's fair.
I guess.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I guess,
that's fair.
yeah,
That is a
that's-
boss gauntlet.
Yeah.
But I was also just thinking of I just beat the first Final Fantasy game for the first time ever last night, as of the day of recording.
Did
And
you?
I loved that you had to refight the main 4 dudes and they were more difficult, and then you had to fight. Anyways, we'll yap about that more, but I just have a very fond boss rush in my recent memory as well.
Yeah.
Something I want to talk about with Kirby Superstar is that when it comes to like Nintendo, they take Kirby and put him in like different genres of games, kind of like with Mario, because you can kind of see here in this Kirby Superstar / Kirby Fun Pack game that you're doing the platforming adventure thing, you're doing the racing, you're doing a Metroidvania, and all kinds of stuff, and mini games are in there too. And you can kind of see that for like Game Boy was a really big era for Kirby when they tried to like put him into. There's Kirby Pinball Land, there's Star Stackers, there's Kirby's Avalanche for Super Nintendo. There's Kirby's Dream Course for Super Nintendo, where he's a golf ball, and like there's just so much that they do
There's
with
the Tilt
Kirby.
game too.
Yeah. I mean, there is so much they do with Kirby, and then eventually getting an own racing game and everything. So it's very cool here that they just just shove in a lot of different genres into this one. Very cool game.
Yeah, this is actually the last bit of the games that make up that collection here. So you have the mini games that you have in there, and one of them is Samurai Kirby, which is basically a riff on Wild Gunman. Basically, you're getting prompted to shoot or slash in this case.
Reaction
Reaction-based game like Wild Gunman was. And then the other one is Megaton Punch, where you have to accurately press buttons 3 times. So it's, they experimented a lot with Kirby, and they put Kirby everywhere, which is why having Kirby showing up in a Smash Brothers title was just a natural choice rather than who else can we put in there? Oh yeah, right, Kirby. Kirby is definitely there from the beginning.
Please don't let me forget to yap about Smash Bros. A little bit later.
Sure.
It's on my list of
we
things.
We definitely need to mention that.
Yeah.
So, but I just wanted to go through these games here real quick to just mention them. I haven't really played them, to be honest, and I wanted to replay them, and I have not gotten around to it before we started recording. But it is fun to see all of that. But moving on from there, this game was in a sandwich between 2 games, and I want to let Toadie take over for the game that she is so eager to talk about.
Toadie, he's trying really hard not to sneeze right now.
That's why I tried to draw it out a tiny bit longer for you. I'm so sorry.
I don't think it's going to happen, but oh boy, that's a weird little feeling right there.
But Toadie, take us away for Dreamland.
Too. It's so good. I love this game so much. Oh man. It's just such a fun little game. Kirby's Dream Land 2 Game Boy game came out at least in North America in 95, and it is the dark matter has come and has made everything bad, and you have to defeat it all, and you have to collect is it rainbow shards or rainbow drops from each place if you want to have the good or the final ending or the mega ending. I don't know, whatever you call it, secret ending. Or you can just blast through the levels and beat up DDD.
It's the 7 rainbow bridges per lore.
Rainbow bridges connect the islands, but then you have to collect the rainbow drops.
Yeah, in order to rebuild the bridges.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, because I'm reading the wiki too. But we have, so the copy ability exists. Fewer abilities, I believe, in this one than previous. However, you can essentially multiply the number of abilities there are because we have our 3 animal pals. Who doesn't have a good little animal pal? We have Rick, the hamster, Kine, I don't know, the fish, and Koo, the owl. And I am sure as heck did not know their names when I was a kid, and I'm sure I gave them their own names. I want to ask favorite animal copy ability combos. I gosh darn loved getting the I'm going to say like electric copy ability and having the fish and just shoving a light bulb out of your mouth. I'm pretty sure I went around my house with a light bulb in my mouth and said, "Look, I'm the fish from Kirby." Just so fun.
Love that.
Again, like I feel like platforming wise and that sort of thing, probably a fairly easy game. But to go back to the ability to have it be both an easy game and a little bit more challenging of a game, I could see a good number of kids never going and getting all the bits that are required to do that final ending, because I don't think I did originally when I was young, but I do remember this being one of my first games where, if not maybe my actual first game, where I did the hard thing and like actually beat the whole game. I think I went back to it when I was a little bit older. And in order to get all of those drops that you need to unlock the second ending or the big ending, you had to actually think and you actually had to like go back and get an animal buddy who wasn't in the level that you needed him in, and you had to carry him through from a previous level, and you had to make that kind of like cognizant decision, which if you were, I don't know, a 7-year-old kid or whatever, isn't necessarily within your grasp first time through.
Yeah.
Um,
This is where
yeah.
this is where it becomes frustrating, to be honest, right?
Do you
Because
think?
yes, so following the meta of easy to finish, hard to beat,
Mhm.
this is the definition for me for this one, right? Because I remember watching a retrospective a while ago where the guy talked about what you need to do. And there is this one rainbow drop that you need to collect where you need to go with the fish through an normal overworld stage in order to, with the lightning ability, never lose the lightning ability, go through that whole stage, don't go into one of the 2 fake outs at the end that you could fall into, which would mean, because you can't get the fish out of them again, that you would have to go back through the whole level in order to get that rainbow drop. It's, how would you even figure this out, right? I mean, yes, we're talking a game that was released in 97, right?
95, yeah.
Sorry, 95. So for me, that would have been 11 years old at the time, 12 years old maybe when I got it. How would a 12-year-old me had the brain capacity to, in order to get that, I need to do these 15 steps before. Don't fall into these 2 traps that they set for me out there. And then go in order to get that. So yeah, I would say this is the part where the decision making of burying the secrets was taken a little too literal.
It's funny our different perspectives on that, because I'm sure nostalgia has got some really thick glasses on here, but the way that I think about that or approach that or whatever is how rewarding it was to have not only figured it out but then also accomplished it. I don't know, I feel like it's, maybe we're going to disagree on 64 as well then. But man, it just felt so good. I wonder if it's because okay, we're getting deep here. Redmage, you're an only child, right?
No, I have a sister.
No? Oh,
Which is
I'm
what
the
I
only
want to
child.
talk about when we go to 64.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, I'll yap about my part of it then. Because when I was young, I was essentially one of 4 kids, and all those other 3 kids were 4 years older than me and like 1 year apart from each other. So it was always kind of like me versus them sort of thing. And I always wanted to be as good as them, and I wanted to make them proud or whatever. And so when one of the ways that I could do that was accomplishing something perceived as difficult in a video game. And so when I was able to do this, I would be able to say like, look, brother, I did the stupid thing with the bloody fish and the light bulb. And then I would put a light bulb in my mouth. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like with Kirby being such an approachable title generally, like difficulty wise, having it then have something that is voluntary and doable and difficult, it's like it's the gateway drug to accomplishing things in a video game. I don't know. It was fun as heck.
No, you're making good points there, and I don't want to say that Dreamland 2 is a bad game. If I want to say that one of the ones that we're talking about is a bad game, it would be 3, because it just didn't bring too much more to it. But we'll get to 3 in a second.
And I'm less familiar with 3, so maybe that's the perspective I'm missing.
For me, it was when revisiting it, specifically also for this, it was fun to go through all of this, right? To figure out things. I didn't complete it before we talked about it, but from a today perspective, with having played a ton more puzzle games as well, this was a lot of fun to figure out. And also with the completionist brain of an RPG player, there is also something to be said about that. But at the
Mhm.
time, it was, yeah, I don't know where it is, so I don't want to really go up and dig it up again. This might also then be the difference in how we grew up, because I was
Mm.
the older brother, right? So
Ah,
I
yeah.
was the one that was, well, in my situation, more asked for things rather than being the one that was smug about, hey, you can't do this, right?
Yeah.
But still, it's like, yeah, it never really at the time felt right to find this, because yeah, I mean, I saw some of the things, and I'm pretty sure that I saw, okay, hey, you need you see that there's a block that you can destroy, and you would need to bring that specific thing with you. But I don't think that I went out of my way to go back 3 steps in order to collect this, to then bring it to somewhere where it didn't naturally flow in. And I think this is part of level design as well. With a lot of other games, you have these secrets hidden in a way where you can at least get it from within the level where you are, versus you have to bring something from outside into it in order to do it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm kind of torn on that perspective. But
Yeah.
Hampy, what do
No,
you
it's
think
totally
about it?
fair.
So I'm coming up with a new perspective here then, because I have never played Kirby Stream Land 2 or 3. And then I played it a little bit because I want to save like full playthrough for later. So I played it a little bit. And I can see where the, so to speak, collectathon aspect of it comes from. That it comes from Kirby Stream Land 2. And what you were talking about, like, oh, hey, I see here, I needed like the cutter to get through here, and I saw it, I'm on stage 5, but I saw it back on stage 2, so I have to go get that. I have to enter stage 5, and I have to survive the entire stage, because there are
Mhm.
no other enemies that drops the cutter ability. That would be like a staple, I would say, to the Kirby franchise, because I
Yeah.
can think of so many Kirby games that does that. Even
Yep.
like the newer Kirby games as well. Um, so for me, my favorite genre is like collectathons. I love those old school, like specifically more like Nintendo 64.
Yes.
But I can see myself liking this game quite a lot if I get more deeper into it. So I'm gonna be very excited once I try it out and try to play for end credits, so to speak.
It's a good one. I think one other thing I wanted to mention about this game and just the memories it brings back are the comboing and the figuring out of abilities and when you need them where and stuff. I think that was kind of more of the, for me at the time, the difficult thing about the game that I really enjoyed. But I think something that is probably very easy about the game that I thought was really tough as a kid, and I think this is maybe when I first got it, was the doors. Like you go to, I'm going to call it kind of like the hub world. That's not the right word. And there's like 7 doors that you can walk through. And I remember getting the muscle memory of when to go in which door and stuff. And I just felt so cool, just like knowing how to navigate this dorky little game with all these billions of doors everywhere. But I think that was actually really easy. I think I just remember it feeling like such a huge accomplishment as a kid, but I would have been super young playing this game.
Would you
So
say that Kirby Stream Land 2 is like one of those big childhood games for you?
it is,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. Yep. Um, do you guys have a favorite combo or a favorite, like, it depends on how much you've played of this, of animal and ability?
Well, I like at the time I like to go through the games fast and as fast as possible. So how do you go through the game as fast as possible?
You
Get
fly.
you get the owl
Yep.
and get the what is it, the boomerang thing,
You
or
cut her.
cutter? Yes, cutter. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because she yeeted out 3 of them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
That's the point, right?
right.
You were just plowing through the level.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I don't think I
Camps,
have
did you play
a
enough?
favorite combo because I haven't played the game that much, but
Yeah.
I just love Rick.
Yeah.
Whenever I get the opportunity, I'm like, yes, you're
Yeah.
coming with me.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I guess I just love Rick.
Especially because he negates ice physics.
Yeah,
yes.
that's true.
Thank you for
Gamers
not
hate
making
ice
me go
physics,
through
eh?
ice physics.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Uh,
No, I stand by my fish and light bulb combo.
I
It's
think that's the
just-
funniest one. That is
Yeah, yeah.
really fun.
It's so
Yeah.
goofy. I'm a sucker for the goofy ones, which we'll probably come across again at the N64 game.
Yeah.
But before the N64 game,
let's talk about.
we have Dreamland 3.
hmm So how? So
don't
have you
play
played Dreamland 3? Any of you?
I don't
No.
think I have.
No. Okay.
I haven't played it. I
So-
played it a little bit now for this episode just to at least get the feel of it. But yeah, that's another one I'm saving. But yeah, I feel like that one reminds you a lot of Dreamland 2, but they wanted to kind of like have a game on a home console.
Mhm.
So it feels like, as you mentioned a little bit before, Redmage, that it doesn't really introduce that much to the franchise.
So for me, it always felt like, and again, I know that I'm looking at this in a little bit of a jaded way, but Dreamland 3 is take Dreamland 2, introduce more of the additional pet characters, and add some more combinations with that, and make it even harder to complete. That's it. But that's really the point, right? Because you not only have Rick, Koo, and Kine, you have Nago the cat, you have Pitch the bird, and you have Choo Choo the octopus. And as far as I remember, Choo Choo is really only useful in one level. So they introduced more, but then didn't do anything more than just making it harder to
What has
get
already
to the
been done,
completion.
Mhm.
Right. It's like the closest comparison for me with that was when I was playing through this, a lot of Super Mario Brothers 3 went through my head, and one of the things that I thought of immediately was, wait, that's it? That's so like the hammer suit from
Right.
Bros 3, because they almost cut that out of the game entirely because you only had it in one place, right? And it feels a bit like that. But all in all, it's basically Dreamland 2 on the Super Nintendo with another side character that you have on top of that. You have your friend Gooey with you if you want
Just
to.
gonna say, yeah.
The most
Beloved Gooey.
The most annoying thing. Because
He's just a goofy little guy.
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Can we please put him on a trigger instead of one of the face buttons that you accidentally hit in order to spawn him in?
Oh, so does he actually like do stuff in the game?
Yes, he swallows up
Oh.
enemies around you, which means that if you want to go for a specific combo and you're not fast enough to get that enemy in, he would have sucked
That's
it up before
infuriating.
you, and you have to go a little to the side in order to get the enemy back, and then you need to be faster than Gooey, which
He's just a hungry little guy.
yeah, he's just a hungry
Yeah.
little guy.
funny
And and when revisiting this right now, so often, because for some reason I didn't get my head around playing the game on my Switch Pro controller. I don't know why. It felt a bit weird, right? I was just doing this with the Switch, right? Because, by the way, we haven't mentioned that, but you can play all the games that we're talking about on the Switch if you have Nintendo Switch Online and with the N64 expansion for the next one.
Praise.
Yes.
Love that Nintendo finally comes around to do stuff like that, having a
Yeah.
subscription service. You can revisit old classics and stuff that you've been curious about without spending hundreds of dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Oh,
main part
lordy.
for that.
Good.
But yeah, so I was playing this and I spawned Gooey in so many times where I didn't want him to be around, because in order to get rid of him, you need to swallow him back up again, which you can only do if you're not on one of your companions and have a power up. So you need to get off, get the power up out, swallow him up, be fast enough to get your power up back in order to then just go back to your companion. And it's like,
Oh my
come
god.
on.
Yeah.
I will say
One
though.
thing I want to say. Oh yeah, you can go first. Yeah.
So, but I will say though, it's a fun game to play, right? Don't let me talking about the things that annoy me about that game specifically keep you from playing it, because in the end, I don't have a Kirby game where I would want to say that you should avoid it, right? Out of these main story games, they're all good to play, right? I mean, if we want to talk a game to avoid, why do you want to play Kirby Puyo Puyo? Right, that would be one of the things where I would say, yeah, you can skip that, right? But again, you can skip it. You shouldn't avoid it, but you can skip it, right? So, yeah. Sorry,
I
Hampy.
did, apparently.
For me though, I feel a big positive for this game, I would say, are the graphics.
Yes.
It looks amazing with like the hand-drawn feel and everything. I would be a bold statement, but I would say that that is the game that is the best looking one of those we talk about today. It
For
is
sure, yeah.
really, really gorgeous.
Visually
and
speaking, it's an amazing game.
yeah, it could have been released today because the art style is so strong, like it's so unique that it could have been something that was released today rather than 30 years ago soon.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those games that makes you forget about the fact that we're not playing a indie retro inspired title, but an actual 30-year-old retro title. God, that
Yeah,
hurts. That
good
hurts to
unique art
say.
style is eternal. It's
Yeah.
many of those games, like there are many games you can think of that could be like eternal, really, that have you feel like have aged so freaking well that this could have been released the other day. It looks like an indie game. So yeah,
There's a good few games that have come out since that adopt this art style as well. I don't know if this was the first one or not, but it's certainly old enough. Like I'm thinking of the Yarn games kind of look like this, and Yoshi's was his Island or Adventure, whatever those
Yoshi's
ones are,
Island
kind of look like this.
Yeah.
Yoshi's
Hot take.
Island.
I would not, like, if I was just being kind of a judgmental gut reaction person, I would not pick up this game based on that art style. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think it's
all right.
I don't disagree with what you guys are saying, is that it's timeless, and I think it like quote like looks good, but it's not like my taste of art style. It's too soft. I want the hard crunchy. I want the hard crunchy lines. But
one thing I can
you
say,
want
though,
you want
that
a cell shaded Kirby game? Nope.
Or do you just want Kirby 64?
As well, Kirby 64. Yeah, I would even take
fair.
the Game Boy lines over this, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that why I mentioned Kirby 64 there as well is that I feel like Kirby's Dream Land 3 is like some design choices are very similar to Kirby 64. The hub that you have on screen, like with all the stars showing and the item that you have and everything, looks exactly the same as the one for Kirby 64. And
You know what?
the
It
thing with the
does.
stars and everything, like,
Yeah. Interesting.
really looks like it.
Speaking of Kirby 64, Hampy, I do think of you as the 64 person. Maybe alongside me a little bit, but you know, when I think of 64,
course.
I think of Hampy
Of course,
Strange.
I'll share. Of course.
What do you got?
Well, Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards for the Nintendo 64. Don't know the exact release. I think it was 2000. Could have been 2001. 2000.
Yep.
Yeah,
2001 for you,
2001
2000
for
for
us.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
for us over here. Yeah, we got
Sucks to
the
suck,
games
Europe.
last here in Europe. Yeah, last place. So this game put Kirby into kind of like a 2.5D perspective. It was still the, so to speak, you scroll or walk from left to right, but there was 3D depth into this game. And another very special thing about this game is that sure, we got robbed of our beloved animal buddies for this
Mhm.
game, but they placed in instead that you can combine different abilities with each other. And for example, you took the ice ability with the electric ability, and you got a
Yeah.
refrigerator, for
Who
example.
doesn't want to become a refrigerator?
Love that one. And there were so many funny ones that you could get. I don't know the exact amount, but it must have been a lot, right? That you can combine
Mhm.
all these abilities with each other. It's so much fun. It's almost like half of the game to just be like, oh, I haven't combined this ability with that ability. What am I gonna
Absolutely.
get? It's like
Yeah.
you get flaming bow and arrow. You can get a rock that circles around you and destroys everything with electricity. And there's so much. You could even combine fire with fire,
Mhm.
so you could get just an even bigger fire upgrade with that one. I remember that one specifically because that one, fire, you just boost a little bit forward with like a little fireball. Then fire with fire, you turn into a big phoenix that just destroys almost everything on screen.
Yeah.
Like Toadie mentioned earlier, the boss battles also got a big, like, since they could, it was 2.5D and 3D depth and everything, they could evolve the boss battles into like epic showdowns. I also remember that Wispy Woods battle.
So
Really, really
good.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Running around in a circle, having to jump over the roots and stuff and having him be in the middle. Like, I think I was actually afraid the first time I got to that place because I would have been pretty young. I was 10 in 2000, and I think this is one we got on release because N64 was kind of our big family console. And I think I was like actually genuinely afraid fighting him for the first time. So
Because it was also like you had to think differently. Because otherwise, you just took the apples and spit at him. But now you had to spit on the roots. You couldn't really get to him. So that was also
Yeah.
like a new cool thing that they could start to have fun with.
Yeah.
The 3D depth and everything. Also, the crystal shards, it's another collectathon. You collect those to get a secret ending. And it was like, I think 5 worlds maybe, but even though it was 5 worlds, maybe 6, it was still a very long, full adventure. And also, like, instead of this ending where you had a trampoline, you were at the end of every stage, you met your friends on a little picnic blanket, and you tried to jump in like a direction. You could either get 1-ups, you could get the maximum tomato and heal, but you could also get, and I remember this, you could get a little like a Pokemon card-esque card of the enemies in the game.
And that was the
So
only
that
correct
was-
choice.
Yeah, exactly. Because that was also like the only place on the entire stage where you could get one. So if you didn't get the card, you had to replay the entire stage up until that important moment where you could jump in any direction on the picnic blanket. And if you missed it, you had to replay the stage over and over. But it was fine to replay because there were so many different ways to play the stages, considering that you had all of these different copying abilities, right? So every time you replay the stage, it was new.
And there was reason to replay stages because a la Dreamland 2, some of them you had to have certain combos of copy abilities in order to access a crystal shard that were not necessarily available in that level. And so you had to go, and for me, it was always World 2, is it level 2? World 2 level something, where you can get so many of the abilities available. So I'd always just kind of scooch over there. I think the one that I mained was Cutter and Rock, where you kind of turn into the other animals. And I think it was like super easily available in this stage. And so I'd always scooch there and then scooch back to everywhere else I wanted. But man, those cards, and they didn't even tell you which card you got or if it was a duplicate or not. And so you had to make the decision of like, are you going to keep playing or are you going to exit out of the darn game every time back to the main menu to go and check if you not got a new card, which didn't even matter at all because it's not like they had like descriptions or anything really deep in them. They were just cool little Pokemon cards that had
Yeah.
Kirby people on them, but you had to get them all. And it was just
Yeah.
RNG, and it was so fun. I love those damn cards. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
They
You
were
also had,
great.
because you had like the supporting characters, you had Waddle Dee in the
Mhm.
game.
Mm.
You could also have King DDD, which in some sections of the game you could ride on
Yeah.
and use him as a character with his hammer and smash
Yep.
things. That was very
Yeah.
cool. You also had a new side companion, so to speak, but I don't think you could play as.
No,
Let's
she
see
just
here.
showed up and like
Yeah,
painted
it's,
you goodies.
yeah, exactly. I was looking for her.
Yeah.
So Adeline
Yes.
was also for those of you who tries to get a picture, she was like an artist with a paintbrush. She would help you out here and there in the main adventure where you needed like health or something, and she was like in a room. She could like quickly draw a maximum tomato and be like, whoosh. Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
right. What she did, everything she drew came to life. That was
And
the
that was-
thing.
Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, magic.
And that was her battle, because those three that Hampy just mentioned, in order to kind of quote unlock them, not that you really had access to them at your whim, it was stage dependent and predetermined or whatever, but for each one of those three, you first fought them as a boss because they had been possessed by the dark matter or whatever,
Mm.
and they each had their own boss. And Adeline's was, she painted bad guys and they came out of her canvas and you had to beat up the bad guy first. And that was really fun. I liked
Yeah.
that a lot. Yeah.
Very cool boss battles in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And all the supporting characters, you could play as King DDD in sections here and there, but you had
Mhm.
also a multiplayer mode that you could play.
Yes.
And there were some really good. I think it was like 3 different games. One included you in like just pressing A and B. And if you've pressed A, you jumped 1 step. If you press B, you jump 2 steps.
Oh yeah.
And they were like lily pads and stuff. It was like in water, so you could accidentally like press 2 steps when you need to press 1, and then you could fall off
Mhm.
the stage and stuff like that. So that was a fun race to do. You also had like a mini game where there were apples falling from a tree, and you had to go left and right to try and catch the most apples in your basket. And then the final mini game was like freaking battle royale. You were
Yeah.
up on the sky on a platform where you could knock each other down, and that is crazy. It's fun that it's on Switch, because definitely getting 4 players on that one. That will like, you can spend an entire evening with that mini game. It is so
Very
chaotic
true.
and fun.
Yeah. The mini games, I think we talked about them a bit as well when we were talking about Donkey Kong at some point, and the 64, its multiplayer mode was something that I spent a lot of time in with my cousins, and Kirby is the same. So at home, I played the Kirby single player, but whenever my cousins and I all got together, we had the 364 games. We had Donkey Kong, we had Kirby, and we had Pokemon Stadium. And we just
Ooh.
swapped between their various like multiplayer mini games, or in 64 was a shooter. And that was how we spent all of our damn time, was on those mini games, and Kirby is one of them. And it's so funny because I think you really like named them all, right? And so it sounds like it's so little, so few, I guess. But as a kid, you didn't care. You were just hanging out with your friends or your cousins, if you were like me and didn't have any friends. And I mean, there's just so fun. It was just so like lighthearted, and
Yeah.
it wasn't difficult like Halo. And yeah, it was a hoot.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that you brought up Pokemon Stadium there, because they remind you, those mini games kind of remind you a lot of the Pokemon Stadium mini games.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, totally.
Like you could play them over and over again.
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah.
cool. One
Yeah.
final thing I will mention before I stop yapping about Kirby 64 and allow you two to talk a little bit more about it is the final secret boss
Yeah.
that I reached once, 02. That one is nightmare fuel.
He's crazy.
Yeah, it is super, super scary. It's like bleeding
Mhm.
from the eye, a big eye like Cyclops, and bleeding from it and everything. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Does this belong in a Kirby game? And I like that. It's like a very dark twist on an all otherwise very cute adventure. I think they kind of kept that in later games too, like having just this dark, unexplainable entity is just like as the final boss.
I think if you ask any youth about Kirby, because my kid is Kirby is their number one franchise. So of course, when we were preparing for this, I texted them. I was like, "Dog, what do you got? I'm already a fan, but tell me what I don't know that you think I should bring up." And she said, "You need to discuss the fact with basically what Hampy just said. Like there are these world universe and ending crazy nightmare fuel, literally called nightmare in some cases, um, god enigmas that are taking over the galaxies and the universes and the multi-connected universes. And then you've got pink puff 8-inch Kirby defeating them. And it's just because if you look at, I don't know how much you guys, either of you, have delved into Kirby lore. It's wild. I'm not going to get into it because I don't know it enough. I've just read about it. But like, shit is insane. And it's Final Fantasy level big, I guess, and deep and godlike and ethereal and all that. But then it's this stupid little pink Kirby who's beating it up, and it's such a great combination. Yeah. That the unlockable ending battle in Kirby 64, I don't think I ever got to as a child, but I have replayed Kirby 64. It's one of the few games that I have genuinely gone back to, like, of my own volition, not as a creator or anything, just because like I want to. I've gotten back to a few times over my life, and I've gotten it since, and yeah, terrifying, like, and tough, I think, because it was basically turned into kind of like a shooter almost, or like a auto shooter or whatever. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, shmup essentially.
Yeah, so a departure from the main mechanics of the game for sure. Yeah.
Redmage, have you played Kirby 64?
I mean, you have basically covered everything and anything in the game already.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fair. That's fair. For me, it's this game that came out in a time where I wasn't really into console games anymore. But my at the time girlfriend had an N64 that she lent my sister because we were at the time my then girlfriend introduced me to the Final Fantasy games, so that's where my brain power went in terms of the console games. And also it was that very dark time of me playing first person shooters, unfortunately. But enough of that. My sister was playing Kirby 64, and that was this game. So at the time my sister was 14, 15, 16, around somewhere there. And yeah, it was this game where she was having fun with it, and we only had one TV that you could use for that. We had two TVs in the house. The one in the kitchen was basically the one that my mom always was using. So we only had that living room TV where we could, if at all, play games. And every single time I got home or something, my sister was playing there. And this was one of the games where I just stuck around for, right? Where I was just there, and subsequently also played a bit of it. But yeah, it was for me this whole kind of someone else is playing a game and you're just not backseating, but you're there in a good way to just observe and help out if needed. So yeah, it's a fun game to also just watch other people do, and especially see how they play it, right? Because there's so many things that you could do with the combos that you can pick up, and why don't you go for this combo? How does that combo work, and all of that? So yeah.
Yeah, we have not talked about the combinations nearly enough. I'm sorry. Like, I want to yap a little bit more here. Um, can we talk about how you become a gosh darn Jedi? Hello? With the cutter and the spark?
That's a favorite. That's
yes.
awesome.
I think that was my favorite for actually playing the game and like beating up the enemies and stuff. I think I used the lightsabers then. And I wasn't even a Star Wars fan yet. It was
Gotta mention as well, it's not just Jedi style, it's freaking Darth Maul style.
Yeah.
Where you got double.
Dual blade.
Yeah.
So good.
Who doesn't want to be Darth Maul with the freaking double lightsaber thing? It's so awesome to play.
Did you, Hampy, so often I would just get the cutter stone, which is the one where you turn into the different animal pals. And to me, I didn't know where some of these animal pals came from. Like I recognized the 3 from Dreamland 2, which is the hamster, the fish, and the owl. But then there were the other ones that I now know, of course, were mostly from Dreamland 3. But you had the one bird, if you got the cutter stone, the little bird. And if you got him, you could fly infinitely, because this is this the first Kirby game where Kirby himself cannot fly infinitely?
That's right. He
slowly
falls. Yeah, that's right.
But you just grab cutter stone and you transform into this little bird, and you are you can't be hurt, and you can fly forever, and you just fly through all the levels. I did that all the time, I remember.
Yeah, this was my second Kirby game that I played, and was like, this is my favorite Kirby game, and it's my main Kirby game that I played. Yeah. And I didn't know anything about the animal buddies from Kirby Dream Land, because I didn't know who they are or anything. So that is something that I figured out after.
Yeah. I'm looking at all of the abilities now, and there's the goofy ones, like Hampy, you mentioned the iconic fridge. So dumb. So incredible.
What is the most useless one, in your opinion? I have 2 that spring to mind for me.
Oh my goodness.
But what are the most useless ones for you?
I've got an answer. I'll throw it out there. So my 2 are going to, I think some people would be tempted to say the fridge, but the fridge gives you health, and that is so valid. Yeah. So I'm going to say the gosh darn cutter and ice, which is where you skate, and you have to, like, if you bump into a dude, you get hit. So you have to kind of like jump in order to hit them. And like little 10-year-old Toadie's stupid thumbs couldn't make that work. So I remember that one sucking real bad.
With the no-hit run. I had a lot of fun with that. No-hit run and just skate through the level.
I can appreciate that. Yeah, I can appreciate your kind of like speed running-ness. Really vibing with that for sure. The other ones, there's a few that I'm thinking of. Okay, but I'll just go. So my
one that comes to mind, I don't really remember what it's called, but I think it's fire and electricity. He takes something and like does this like motion on his head where he and then he catches fire and just runs.
And randomly. Just runs. Yeah.
That one I think is one of the worst ones, I would say. I never used that one.
So what about fire and ice? That's one for me that I always come back to as absolutely stupid and useless, because you turn into a flaming ice cube for a second or two.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It hurts enemies that are like immediately right at you. That one I can agree with, because it's in line with some of the other ones that I was thinking about this, where you can't move like while you're doing it, right? And that makes it difficult for me. Like I was thinking about maybe the fire and the needle one where you become the bow.
Fire and needle is also absolutely useless, because you have only one specific arc that you can shoot at.
Yeah, and you're stuck in the one spot.
Those are actually mine too.
Yeah. I really, really loved the ice and stone, where you became a curling stone. As a Canadian who genuinely enjoys watching curling, that was a darn hoot. That's right. But I remember it being really difficult to stop, and so I remember falling down a lot of pits.
Yeah.
But
yeah, me too. In a similar topic there. Ice and bomb. You turn into the snowman that just
Yeah.
walks and explodes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that,
Enemies.
that as well. Yeah, that's also one of the weird ones.
Yeah.
All right, okay, well let's just also then talk about a couple favorites. I already talked about the lightsaber. I also want to throw out, I think it was fire and bomb. Yes, where you become the fireworks. I really liked that one. I thought it was useful and visually appealing.
I gotta say also, it's just fun with Cutter and Cutter. It's like he just throws his entire face that turns into a boomerang.
Yeah.
I always like that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. I love this darn game. There's I'm going to I've got like a couple work things that I need to kind of get under my belt, but like since us saying that we're going to be talking about this, it has really been on my mind to replay this again for the umpteenth time, just because it's just so fun. And I think I vibe with you very much, Hampy, in the collectathon enjoyment, and especially in the 64 era. I think we had a very similar taste there. And getting all of the crystal shards just ticks a really nice, good little brain juices box. And then
felt like it was like the era where it was enough, because nowadays you do collectathons, it's just so big. Mario Odyssey, 999 moons, it's so much, but it felt like N64 was an era where it was just, okay, this is enough, with the exception maybe of Donkey Kong 64.
I was about to say, if you want to talk about 999 moons, I can collect them quicker than you can do 102 in DK64 for sure.
I guess.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, in DK64 there's 3,486 things to collect.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's crazy.
I rest my case there on one of the games.
Yeah, but man, Kirby 64 is so fun.
Yeah, great game. Really recommend people to play it.
There's just one thing missing out of the combo abilities, and that is Link Kirby.
Yeah. Which is,
they did it later in later games, but they missed it out in this one.
I'm gonna take that as a segue to go to my other 64 game. Probably the 64 game that I have the most hours in. I would not be surprised if it is multiple thousands of hours in Super Smash Bros. For the 64. And just a really quick touch on Kirby, because I mentioned earlier about how the facility of sucking in a being, consuming them and becoming their ability is so broad. And so what a natural choice to bring
Kirby's a perfect character for Smash.
And
now with
it was coming out from the same developers that developed the Kirby games back then. It was HAL
HAL Laboratory.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Kirby was so fun in it. Like I'm not a Kirby main, but it was never a sad thing to have to use Kirby.
That's very true. Yes, the Super Smash Bros. In general, the whole Smash Bros. Games, they're fun to play and they get hugely competitive for people. But there's just something fun about having Kirby in there and just going up to your enemy, just suck him up and become Link Kirby.
Yeah, exactly. See who you're gonna get.
And to have,
especially in Smash Ultimate, because now
later,
Kirby can become like 70 different characters or something like that. It's very cool.
Yeah. And the final enemy from the 64 game, like from Crystal Shards, wasn't he an enemy in the Super Smash for the 64 game as well? Like one of the final ones. There was the hands, of course, that were like the final one. But I think that final bad guy was also extremely relevant in Super Smash for the 64. Which is, I think, where I maybe saw it first. I don't think I saw it in the actual Kirby game before I saw it in 64. Or in Smash, sorry. Unless I'm making that up.
Trying to remember.
Fiercely Googling.
Yeah,
But
exactly. No, I don't think
I mean, we
one
have
of the
Kirby?
characters
Meta
were.
Knight in the games, yeah, in the
Yeah,
Smash
Meta
Bros.
Knight
Now
games.
we
is in
do.
the games. Yeah.
yeah, Meta Knight was a meta for whatever game he showed up in first, right? You just chose him and just did his like little twirly sword ability just over and over and over again. But I never played Smash Bros. Melee, and I think is that where he showed up first?
It
I
was
don't
Brawl.
know. Was it
Brawl.
Brawl?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I loved Brawl.
I've not
Brawl
really
and
played those games, to be honest.
hmm.
I mean, I have played them,
I'm,
but not played them. You know.
I love Smash. I know a lot about them. But
Maybe I made up
back
this whole thing about the boss.
it could be. Yeah, because I didn't find
I
any anything there.
All right, carry on. Maybe I'm picturing. Maybe I'm picturing the Crystal Shards boss, but in my head I think it's Smash. But I must be making it up. Audience, I'm so sorry. Roast me. Come over to the YouTube version of this podcast where you can actually comment and then be like, "This chick, she doesn't know what she's talking about."
What
It'd be
the
great.
hell is she talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But back to Kirby, I feel like a lot of, well, essentially every game we've talked about today with Kirby is for everyone. Because in the core of a Kirby game, Kirby's really overpowered. You can pick up a Kirby game and be good at it really, really quickly. Because he also, like in earlier games, he has the infinite flight. So if you just want to, no, enemies, nope, that's not my thing. And you just fly over the entire stage. That is also a possibility. But, you know, I've always thought that in many ways with like a few Wario games, because Wario is also a character that feels overpowered, like in Wario Land games. He just rushes through his enemy. I feel that with Kirby too. Redmage doesn't agree with me.
No, I'm just disagreeing with the notion of rushing. If you have ever played Wario Land, the original first one, it is hella slow.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm just used to slow, I guess. Slow for me is fast.
Fair.
Another quick shout out as well with the Kirby games is Kirby Air Ride for GameCube, which is like they took the idea of Gourmet Race and everything where you race King Dedede, and they made an entire racing game, which is a very interesting one because the only thing you really need to do in that racing game is to press A. You can also, of course, you control left and right, but it's automatic acceleration, and then you get an item, you just push A, and that's it. So it's a like very easy game to play, but it's also super confusing. It's very, very chaotic, especially when you're playing 4 players. And that game is unfortunately very expensive, and we'll see if they will drop it on Switch 2, so you can play it. But the newest Kirby game that they announced is Kirby Air Rider. So we are surprisingly going to get a sequel to that game, well, in the future.
Yeah.
I never played Air Ride, and I don't think I ever really even knew it existed. But from what I understand, it at its release didn't necessarily sell particularly well. But it has subsequently developed like a bit of a cult following. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Also for the GameCube, GameCube was Nintendo's, well, at that time was the least sold consoles, and not many people got to play it. But it's interesting when you pick apart that game a little bit and you see, because there are modes in that game where you be like, it's a little bit combat as well. You go around in a big city, you collect power-ups like attack, like stats, RPG style. Attack, defense, and projectile power and stuff like that, speed. And then you do that for like 5 minutes or however long you do it in the settings, and then you face off against each other in like a little battle. And that is very like reminiscent of what would come later in the Smash Brothers game, where you go around, you collect stats and stuff. So, well, it's the same developer, so they probably got inspired by that.
Fun fact about Air Ride: did you know that this was initially a game for the N64?
No.
So
And then it came out late, I would say, in the GameCube.
So what happened, as far as I could piece it together in that short amount of time? It was initially an N64 title. It was then cancelled in favor, and then they brought out Kirby 64 Crystal Shards, and then they went back to it for the GameCube then. So they canceled it for the N64. They said, yeah, this is not going to happen, and then they moved on to the to Kirby 64, which is why Kirby 64 is also one of these titles, hey, very late, right? Because it was the surprise appearance of Kirby on the N64, because the only game that was announced for the N64 had been cancelled. So, yeah.
And then the only game, they put a lot of trust in that one for GameCube then, because that was the only Kirby game we got for GameCube, a racing game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a drought of I'm going to say like mainline Kirby games from 64 all the way until Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which released in 2022. Right? There wasn't really like a stick mainline game between those two.
There are a few. It takes time to go through those. But the Wii one was very good. Return to Dreamland. That one was fantastically
am I forgetting all
good.
Of this?
And you also had
that one,
Star Allies on the Switch.
The amazing Mirror as well for Game Boy Advance, which was like a Metroidvania.
Yeah, there's a good number of games.
There's a few. Yeah, there's a few.
They have not
Epic Yarn as well.
Yeah, Epic Yarn is you could consider this not a mainline game, because in the end Epic Yarn was more of a, hey, we developed a game where your character turns into yarn. Isn't that fun? And then, which character do we put in that? Because making it a Kirby game was an afterthought for Epic Yarn. I love Epic Yarn. It's a great game. It's fun to play, but it's not a Kirby game because, well, it was developed as a different game and then made into a Kirby game.
Okay.
What was the Wii one called?
Kirby Return to Dreamland. They re-released it as well for the Switch not too long ago.
Yeah. Wii was a huge console for my family as well, but I don't remember this game. Yeah, heck, look at that. It's
really cool. It's really good.
But too modern for our retro podcast.
Yeah.
Womp womp. So, just like the incredible Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which I just want to throw out there, was so darn fun.
I haven't played it yet. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a great game. 100%.
Yeah. And I feel like it imbues all of the Kirby goofiness and wonderful gameplay that we
he eats like a car and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's fun.
Yeah.
It's super fun. Please play it.
I think we're at the tail end of the episode here. So
yeah, because as Toadie mentioned there, it's there's a lot of other Kirby games, but they're a little bit too new. This retro podcast
for us old farts.
I mean, we can talk about the definition of retro at another time, because there's so many different ones out there.
That's gonna be a 3-hour special.
Yeah, we definitely need to include RAS for that one. But I would want from you guys a recommendation for people to play. Do you have a game? So 2 recommendations. Either or. Either a game that is akin to a Kirby game that you would want to recommend, or a Kirby game that we haven't talked about.
Who goes first?
I'm going to go first, and I'm going to not listen to Redmage, and I'm going to just bring
Aw.
in a recommendation. I can't find a way to make this like a Kirby game.
All right, no,
So
that's fair.
instead-
That's okay.
Instead, my recommendation is if you ever want to dive into the Final Fantasy franchise, don't let the haters convince you not to play Final Fantasy 1, and I'm going to assume 2. Because I grabbed the Pixel remaster on sale, and people were telling me, certain individuals were telling me, just skip 1 and 2.
You
Don't
can
even
call me
worry
out.
about
I'm
it.
okay
They're
with that.
They're the worst. Nobody likes, and I didn't listen, and I had so much fun. As a person who has not played really many RPGs outside of Pokemon, which are we calling it, it was a great introduction to the RPG genre. And so, let Final Fantasy 1 be your first Final Fantasy game. That's my recommendation of the day.
Okay, so I'll make a counter recommendation. Don't listen to Toadie here. No. The reason why the recommendation not to play 1 and 2 came from me as someone who has played 1 or 2 Final Fantasy games. And the reason is really just that when I introduced the Final Fantasy series to people, when they played 1 and 2, they were not too fond of continuing on from there, and I wanted to spare Toadie from that. That's my whole reasoning behind it. I don't say that these are bad games. They're just compared to anything 3 and onwards, they're just rougher around the edges for a lot of reasons.
And you can feel that,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
but I still had a hoot.
But so for me, I do want to say, to go back to what my initial premise was, Kirby games, play Epic Yarn. It's a fun thing to play. Yes, it is considered to be not a Kirby game based on the fact that it was initially built around the character of Prince Fluff instead of Kirby, and then just made into Kirby later. But honestly, if we can have fun with Super Mario Brothers 2, the US version, which is also not a Mario game, technically speaking, because it's just a reskin of a different game, we can have fun with Epic Yarn 2. And it is such a cozy, fun game to play. If you have the possibility to play that, go play. Hampy.
And I will recommend the other game then that we talked about a little bit, Kirby's Return to Dreamland. I played it for the Wii, but you can play it and get it for the Switch, and then it's called Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. And I haven't played that version. I don't know what they include in that one for the name being Deluxe, but it's just, it's easier to get your hands on. And it's, I would consider, a great start for playing Kirby games. But if you have a Switch, you can basically just play any of the games that we have talked about today, and that will be a good start. So whether you prefer to start from the very first one, Kirby's Dream Land for Game Boy, and you like that retro feel, do it. Maybe you like cute art styles, then maybe you could play Kirby's Dream Land 3. And then also, if you like the beginnings of the animal buddies and get the true feel of that, it's Kirby Dream Land 2. If you like to combine different things with each other and be like a, little scientist with all the power-ups, then Kirby 64 is for you. So it doesn't matter really where you start with the Kirby games. You will get a unique Kirby experience no matter what. But I'm going to go with Return to Dreamland.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Great.
So
well,
we talked enough about Suck and Swallow for this episode, I guess.
I love that. Thank you both for being in this conglomerative episode. Audience, if you enjoyed, please give us all of the rating things that you do on podcasts. Somewhere there's a button that you can click that will tell the provider that we're good, and you should click that button. And we'll see you next time.
Yes, next time. Have a
Next
good
time.
Bye.
Bye!